Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Okay, so today I want to talk about our student creed and our 8 principles of Strong Heart Jiu-Jitsu or Strong Heart Academy. We go over these with the kids a lot, but I feel like these are great for everybody, adults included. Sometimes we need to be reminded as adults, things that we already might know, or maybe in-depth explanations of what these things mean. So we have service, loyalty, balance, integrity, health, diligence, respect, and courage. So I'm just going to run through them pretty quickly here and what they mean to me and what I want to help our students and our kids to understand. You know, I teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kids striking, but part of this is like I want to explain things that I think are important as a person, to be a strong person, a reliable person, a person that is respected and respect others. And these are principles that I try to live by, and I want to share with my students, and I feel like they're helpful no matter what your stance on morality or your stance on, it's not even a religious thing. It's just these are things that I believe that people should be proud of and work on. So the first one is service, and the way we talk about this is service to others. I try to encourage the kids to do community service and understand that you are part of a community as humans and helping the people around you. So we give pins out, awards out for 10 hours community service, and the goal is just to get you in the service mindset. And I know for myself, all the service things that I do, I mean, they hugely impact my own life, not the people that I help. Like, obviously they help the people that I help, but I get something out of it. There's something about being a human and helping others, and what it does for yourself. Like, you have a sense of gratitude for the things that you have that maybe others don't, and a sense of community, when you're working with others. So we highly encourage service. I encourage this with adults too, and we even say that I allow for these community hours of community service. Some of them don't like, what can I do as a kid? I'm like, you could pick up trash in a neighborhood. Sometimes we think it has to be like this complicated thing. It really doesn't. You can go at school, you could pick up trash around the playground afterward. Just ask for a bag. I guarantee you the teachers will say, absolutely, I'll give you a trash bag. You go out there, wash your hands afterwards, and thank you. So these are just things that we try to encourage, be a part of the community, help your community, help the people around you. And I think that's something that we're missing right now in society, is everyone's very me, and you're encroaching on me. And it's like, how about us, us? And the other thing I encourage kids is to help their grandparents. America has a very strange relationship with grandparents. They're separated. Like a lot of countries in the world, grandparents live with you. Okay, now grandparents live separately. Either they have their own place or they're maybe at a nursing home. So I encourage, helping your grandparents wash their car, pick up dog poop at their house, help them with their laundry, pick weeds. There's many things that kids, even young as 4, can do, and get this helping your grandparents out. And you should be, and your grandparents will love it because you're hanging out with them. It's kind of the way I believe that things should be. Okay, so the second one that we do is loyalty. And loyalty, I'm not going to say a ton about loyalty, but loyalty is earned, just kind of like respect is earned. And I'm not one that is forces people to be loyal to Strong Heart. I allow people. I don't own my students, is the way I look at it. There's a lot of schools that are like, can't go to any other school or whatever. I encourage them to be part of the community of jiu-jitsu as well. Go to open mats, go to seminars, There are certain things where, look, if you're competing, you have to be a little bit careful with what you're going out and showing others, because just like any team, the Suns don't hang out and practice with the Lakers or whatever, whatever team, their opposing team, you just don't do that. So there's that, but the loyalty aspect is kind of an earned thing, kind of like trust is earned. If you would be loyal to Strongheart, if you think that I am worthy and you think Strongheart is worthy of your loyalty, that's how loyalty works. And then, if we've built trust over the years, if I were to make a mistake, you would give me a little bit of wiggle room if I'm, if apologetic about something, to keep your loyalty. And you're loyal to your family, you're loyal to maybe to your country, to your school. These are not a bad thing. Sometimes we get confused with nationalism, and it's like, oh, it's a bad thing. Not necessarily. We are a people of groups, and there's nothing wrong to be loyal to a certain group, but it needs to be deserving of the loyalty, is the way I would say that. So, you're loyal to your relationship with your spouse or your girlfriend, but until that relationship, the loyalty is gone. If there's a cheating aspect or someone that's trying to ruin your life, you shouldn't be loyal as much as like it's time to separate from that person. And I if you expect people to be loyal to you, you need to understand the same concept. Like, am I worthy of loyalty? Okay. The third thing is balance. This is the hardest. Okay. Balance for me is hard. I really try to balance my life as much as I can. And this is like all aspects. Like, people think sometimes when I say balance is like, oh, are you on balance? Like, athletically, and that is important too, because that is balance is an aspect of athletics. And some people will only go to strength training, endurance training, stamina, but I think sometimes flexibility. But balance is huge, huge for jiu-jitsu, huge for almost all sports, really. So that is an aspect of it. But I'm talking about the balance of life. We try to talk about kids, like, and even adults, really, honestly, is with, video games. Are video games bad? Absolutely not. If you're playing 8 hours a day, yes. I had a student one time years ago that he lost his job because he was playing World of Warcraft until like 4 in the morning. He had to go to work at like 6 or 7, and he would call in, and his work dropped, and then he ended up losing his house. These are, that's a dangerous thing. You're not having balance in your life. Like, you need sleep. And that's the thing too, like, not just video games, but sleep. Sleep is a part of balance, part of the health too. As a healthy person is someone that gets their sleep. You work X amount, you have X amount of time with your family. Sometimes for myself, I struggle with, I have a small business, staying with my family and making sure that they're giving time. My kids, my wife is getting the time that they deserve. And then I also have to work, like, if I'm just only hanging out with them and I'm abandoning my school, my business, it's going to start to degrade, not do as good. So, like, it's constantly like checks and balances of balance in your life. Working out all the time, your body will break down. You need rest. That's part of balance. And, with school, like, you got to study. If you're not going to study, then it's going to be difficult to get good grades and achieve the things that you're trying to achieve. So that's kind of my take on balance is you need to be thinking about it. You can even write it out, like, what you're doing. If you write out your day, like, at the end of the day, what did I do at this time? What did I do at this time? You'll start seeing the hours of the day. We only have so many hours of the day, and you're going to have to get your balance down. What are you going to do? And there's going to be sacrifices as far as balance is concerned. There might be 1 month, like, I got to work a little extra hard, but you need to make sure that you're going to come back and work with your family, see your family, maybe take a weekend off with your family, something like that. Okay. But these things are important. So even with jiu-jitsu, like, I'll tell people, set the days that you're going to do jiu-jitsu, okay? Sometimes our spouses are like, why are you always with these people, but it'll make you better for your family because you get this respite in doing jiu-jitsu, and you're being healthy and doing something positive, and then you're going to go back to your family, and I promise you will be a better person. You need to explain this balance to your parent, to your spouse, but you also need to be with your spouse. So like if you're training every day 6 times, if I'm training twice a day 5 to 6 times a week, and maybe you're not seeing your spouse, this could be a problem. Okay. And a lot of the champions that I've known in my life, their balance is a little off, and a lot of times families take the brunt of that. And professional athletes is the same thing. The divorce rate is so high because their balance is out of whack, and so in order to achieve the levels that they need to achieve, there's a lot of sacrifice, and sometimes, unfortunately, the family is the first thing to sacrifice. So if you're a competitive athlete, you need to be asking yourself, are you willing to make these sacrifices to be the champion? Is it worth the sacrifices? And then, I've known some people that they find out that later it's not worth it. Like, man, they look back and like, I didn't see my kids, I didn't see my wife, and now I'm, I have these gold medals, but what does that mean? So it's a tough one. It is a tough one. And work and balance for me is the toughest on this list. Okay. The next one is integrity. For me, this is the easiest one. For a lot of people, it's hard because sometimes you're going to have to, when you're doing what's right, sometimes it's going to be painful. And this is just, I'm fortunate that the way that I was raised, this is just part of the way I was raised. So I've always had integrity, and for me, my reputation is very important. And not a false sense of reputation, a real reputation. I try to do what I say I'm going to do. And that's why I try not to, I've stressed this is a biblical concept for me that very few people I think talk about, but, Jesus used to say, make your yes and your no. Don't make promises, and don't make proclamations. It's yes. If you say, so I'll say, let me think about it, I'll try to do it. But I try not to say yes or no, because I want to try to do it, and I don't want to give you a false, I know certain people, I tell them, don't tell me that you're going to be there unless you're going to be there. If you're not going to, I give people a lot of breaks, but after like 3, I'm like, don't tell me you're going to be here, okay? Just be here, and then I'll be thankful that you showed up. Or, Mike, I'm going to do this thing. Oh, great. And then they don't show up. And kids really, this is a big one with kids. If you're a father or a mother, if you tell them you're going to be somewhere, do something, you'll lose trust with this. Okay, so integrity is about doing what you say you're going to do, even if it's going to be painful. Okay, and honesty is part of the honesty. I have integrity. I'm not going to be dishonest with people, and if you do, you need to apologize and take and make amends. And part of our current zeitgeist is a problem with forgiveness right now, but I think we need to bring it back and with honesty. If people are honestly apologetic and they want to make it right, then you should be willing to have forgiveness, because understanding that you make mistakes as well. But, there's a level of trust when someone has integrity and you see someone and like, man, I know, Mike, he says he's going to do it, it's going to do it. The people have a tendency to just believe them because you've built up integrity. You've built up a level, and it's kind of like a fuel tank, every time you don't do what you say, it goes down and down and down and down, and you start looking at your fuel gauge. You're like, I don't know, there's not much there. You want to trust that someone's going to do what they say, and it's a big one for me. And I judge people a lot for this one. This is a big one for me. So it's easy for me. I know some people might be a little bit harder, but it's a principle that you should be working on. That if you were to die tomorrow and they're at your funeral, they would say, John Doe, was a man of integrity. Jane Doe, she was a woman of integrity. That is something that I want said when I die, but an honest version. I wanted to say it, and they mean that I actually had integrity, not just because I'm dead and they want to, make me look good. I want to earn that. The next one is health, and this is kind of mixes with balance. A lot of these mix together, which I think is important too. But health is, eating right, sleeping, exercising, and mental health as well. Working on our mental health. We have a serious mental health issue in the country right now, and so I think jiu-jitsu is a huge help for it. But it's just a aspect of your mental health. You need to be working on other things and be a person that self-examines yourself and be brutal with yourself. Am I working on the things that I need to do for my mental health? You could have anxiety, depression. How are your relationships? That's part of your health too. Okay. Stress leads to physical ailments. It's proven. Okay. So dealing with your stress in a positive way instead of drinking or drugs or medicating, so many people taking Xanax. Oh, it's legal. Okay. But, and maybe you need it if you're having severe panics. Okay. But you need to deal with the root cause. What is causing the anxiety? And maybe therapy might be a thing that you need, okay? Or a psychiatrist or psychologist. Maybe read on these subjects. Is there something a book that might help you? Faith, I think, is a huge part of this too. Like not everyone has faith, but I believe a good part of balance and health is your mind, your body, and your soul. And health, I think, is important part of that, that trinity of health and balance. So making sure you're eating properly. Myself, I have a sweet tooth, and I drink way too much soda, and our doctor, I drink pop, whatever you want to call it, wherever you're in the country. I call it soda, but it's not good for you. It's not healthy. I need to be drinking. I drink a lot of water, but I would like to cut out. It's part of my thing, like my list. You got to cut out more. I'm trying to cut down on my carbs a little bit. I'm decent at that. My food intake is probably where I suffer the most. I do exercise. I am a man of faith. I do work on my mental health. I'm very conscious of my mental health. And all those things are struggles, no one's saying that any of this stuff is easy, but if you don't work on things, they don't change. So, the next one would be diligence. And this is, I think, on the list of kids, this is the one I want to teach them the most. And if they don't get any of these other things on here, I feel like diligence is the most important. It's important for success. Okay. Consistency. I almost wanted to put diligence / consistency. And when people join jiu-jitsu, what's one of the first things I tell them? Like, there's no secret sauce. The secret is to show up, okay, and be diligent. And when you're getting setbacks, diligence pushes you through the setbacks. People say quitting is not an option. Quitting is the easiest option. So, this is for me too. I'm trying to work on my mandolin. I've been doing it for about a year. And, I try to be consistent and be diligent with my practice every day, and then try to push myself, things that I don't understand, things that are difficult. I try to do the difficult things and be diligent with myself. And the same thing with kids, with their work, their schoolwork, is being diligent, like set this time, which is also balance, to set a time to get your homework done, okay? Get your studying done. You have a test. You got to get on it. Understanding the subject. You could be very frustrated sometimes. You're not understanding. But diligence, you have to keep pressing at it, The Grand Canyon was built by water. The Colorado River cut that thing down. If you've ever seen the Grand Canyon in person, if you haven't, you should work to do that. I promise you, it's a 7 wonder of the world. I look at it and it's wonder and it's beauty, but I also see the diligence of a river can cut a canyon, and water can cut anything. It can dissolve literally anything. So in that process of thinking is like the diligence of it. It's just continually continually. Even if it takes millions and millions of years, it still did it. And we don't have that much time on our life, but if you're consistent and have diligence, and when things get tough, you press through, it's only going to help you, okay? The next one is respect, and the respect is kind of similar to loyalty in the fact that you give respect where respect is earned, and I also try to respect people that I don't know. Now, respect, I try to give instant respect and then tell it's lost. So I'm going to assume that you, as someone I don't know, deserves respect. And then the way that you treat me or the people around you that I also see is going to determine how much respect I'm giving you. Okay? So it's like same thing, gas tank analogy. 100% respect. And then I see, oh, you do this. Oh, I do that. Oh, you do that. And then you get less and less respect, or you maintain, or you get more. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person deserves so much respect. And right now, you know, living in a big city, it's easy to not give people the respect because there's so many people, and respecting people's space, faith, beliefs. You know, right now everyone wants to fight beliefs, right or left. You know, like, you're right. Oh, you're left. I can't respect you. It's a dangerous game of dividing everybody. And so again, if you say you're left, you know, and something that you do that I lose respect, then I'm going to lose respect. If you say that you're on the right side, and that's fine, but then maybe certain things that the person on the right does that might lose respect. That's just the way it is, you know. It's not an immediate thing for me. It's not like, oh, you're a right wing, I can't respect you. Oh, you're left wing, oh, I can't respect you. It's your actions. Okay, so I try not to categorize you right away. You know, the content of your character. You know, Martin Luther King said, you know, don't judge by color of skin, but the content of character. It's not just color of skin, though. It's context of everyone's character. You know, you can categorize. You know, he was dealing with civil rights with, you know, unjust to people of color, but there's injustice of everything, not just that. And I'm not belittling that at all. But like, you know, how do you treat others? You know, you say you're a man of faith, and then you belittle people. You know, you put people down. You know, I will lose respect for you. You know, you say you're a man of faith, but then you choose to the tenets of this faith, and you give to charity, you help others, you try to help people with their problems. Then I just get more respect for you, you know. But you just try to put people down and then degrade people, and you're unwilling to help people, you know. And you're living in an ivory tower, and then people, you know, are starving and in poverty, and you're not willing to, you're not helping them out. You're driving, you know, fancy cars, but yet you look down on people below you. I lose respect. Okay, so respect is for me, it's instant, and then it's something to be lost. Okay. And I also try to give respect. Even if someone says something about someone, I try to meet them first, you know, and give them the benefit of the doubt. Prove me right, please, that you should be respected, okay? And then that's how I go for it. And that's another thing that I don't think people should give me right away. And when I first when I came out of a black belt and I got my first degree, you know, the first degree you're supposed to be called a professor, and I was like really weird about that. Some people used to call me sensei too, or coach. Coach is a little bit easier for me for whatever reason, but professor was like, I felt like, I don't know. And I remember Kyle told me, like, Mike, you need to ask people to call you professor because it's a sign of respect, okay? And this is true. Like, whoever's teaching the class should get respect. And but I also feel like I should be earning that respect. And, you know, one way I earned it is 22 years of jiu-jitsu, but and my knowledge, you know, and that you could respect me because I know what I'm talking about. I teach well. You know, that's a sign of you could respect that. If I start showing up late, if I'm not giving my best, if I'm not teaching well anymore, if I'm losing all my patience. It's easy to lose patience here and there, but if I'm just not patient with kids that don't understand it, or adults, respect can be lost, even as a professor. And sometimes black belts, they think they just need, they don't want to roll with others. It's very common. I don't do that in my school, but like, you can't ask a black belt unless you're a black belt to roll. I don't really care about that at my school, but I understand that many schools traditionally you can't do that. They have to ask you. But I feel like respect is earned. There's purple belts that could beat black belts. You could mess up and you're out of shape, you're old, whatever, and a young guy is blue belt, catches you in something. It happens, I respect all people and my opponents as well. Same thing. When I'm rolling with a blue belt, I'm like, I try not to get too lazy, okay, because they'll catch you, okay. So last one is courage. And courage is another great one, especially for today's generation. I'm finding, the isolation of the pandemic and just the way that kids interact now more online versus in person with people. Courage is becoming more difficult to do things that are difficult. And people get confused with courage, that it's like a lack of fear. It's actually the opposite. It's doing something in spite of your fear because you know that it's worth it and worthy of your courage. It's not that firefighters aren't afraid to go into a burning building. Only psychos aren't afraid. Only people that don't respect their own life or others are not afraid of things. And you could be a level of fear for sure. And, my father used to say, I'm not afraid of dying because I try to live my life where I know where I'm going to go when I die. And I always be like, man, I'm afraid of dying. When I was a kid, I was like, I don't want to die. He's like, I don't want to die. I'm not afraid to die. I have courage in my life, the way I live my life with courage. And the way that I live, if I die, I'm not afraid of where I'm going to go. And an atheist might say, well, there's nothing, but we hang on to life. The Buddhists would say the same thing: don't hang on to life. But courage is not the absence of fear. It's doing what is right and facing your fears, even though you have fears. And competition is great for that. Public speaking is great for that. Sometimes I try to get the kids to speak in front of the other kids in class. It's one of the number one fears is public speaking. We collect attendance cards. Sometimes I allow certain kids to collect attendance cards. I make sure they shake them at everyone's hand and look them in the eye, because this is a skill that I find is going away in society. Again, when you do a Zoom meeting, you meet someone in Zoom, there's no shaking hands, but people go back to the list again. Respect is gained off of a first appearance, shaking the hand, looking me in the eyes, and speaking clearly. Okay, and sometimes that takes courage. Like, people have anxiety meeting new people. Okay, even a simple thing as that. There's some people that are having difficulty leaving the house. The anxiety levels are so high, and I encourage to have courage. Okay, attempt it. Small steps. Okay, and it's not big steps like, oh, I'm going to go out and speak to thousands of people. No, but like a small step. Can you speak to 3 people at a time? 2 people at a time. Because it's important, if you have something to say, that you're heard. And if you don't have the courage for that, that could be a problem too. For job's sake, it's important. When you're doing sales, it's important. When you're leading with a team, you're working with a team with your job, it's important. Okay, and you people don't want to look like a fool. That's the fear. Okay, same thing with competition. People don't want to look like a fear in front of their peers and family. What if I lose? What if I lose? First of all, everyone loses. Is what I try to let everyone know. Kyle Terra, 12-time world champion, he lost. He's lost. Okay, now not a lot, but it happens. Okay, and those are just mistakes. And we work and we fix mistakes and we go back out again. That's the way you look at it, okay? And as far as like the real courage of someone that has to go to combat or fire or saving someone, understand that if you do perish, you are doing what is right, and someone might be saved because of your actions. And it is a worthy case for courage. It is worthy of your courage to do those things. And people hopefully will honor you in that. And at least your family will honor you in that. And that's worthy of your courage. And again, courage is not the absence of fear, but your ability to do something in spite of fear. So that's all I have for today. Those are my 8 principles. Someone say, why do you have 8? Well, the octopus is the logo, so I kind of broke it down into 8 principles, distilled them down. We still have this that I don't think I've ever talked about, is my 21 truths of jiu-jitsu, but 8 principles, and those are just principles to live by in your life. And so hope you enjoyed it, and peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.